Hey everyone, Muse here, jumping in at the top of this week's episode of ONAD Talks to issue yet another list of content and trigger warnings for the following episode, where we discuss the following topics: homophobia, sexism and misogyny, sex work, depression, extreme bigotry and racism, sexual assault and rape, extreme ableism, and discussion of school shootings. I think that's all of them. Apologies if I missed any. They cover a lot. And I know I missed one or two last week, and I'm really sorry about that one. It's honestly just hard to keep track of them all. And next week's episode isn't going to be any easier because it's the episode where Gavin McInnes discusses his Penn State quote-unquote comedy show being canceled, and it's a train wreck. So another apology in advance. Hey everybody, it's ONAD Talks time again!
You sound so excited.
I am! And I'm so sorry that we're still talking about Compound Media and the Anthony Cumia show featuring Gavin McInnes. Still. Sorry everyone. My deepest condolences to you and yours. But we still have so much stuff to cover. Last time on ONAD Talks, we covered why Anthony was fired from SiriusXM Satellite Radio in 2014, the rise of Compound Media, featuring the Proud Boys, Gavin McInnes, every Wednesday. That, I think, is when we actually see Anthony at his worst, is the thing.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it sort of speaks volumes, so.
Anthony's always awful. He's always racist, he's always talking that shit, but it's when Gavin's there that I think he feels like he has to ramp it up. Extra style,
or
big bloke style.
Yeah, right. Or he feels safer and more comfortable.
That's very true.
To be his true self.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that if your job or your profession requires you to constantly have your opinions broadcast on Twitter or social media, you should not be in that profession. It prevents you from having new opinions.
Yeah.
Because if you start having new opinions, you lose people. I feel like it's really because humans are meant to change their opinions. And if you're in a situation where your money is tied up in what opinions you have, you're fucked. You've painted yourself into a corner, just like we've talked about with Anthony before.
Yeah.
Like, your whole thing is based on your reputation. And it's like, do you want it to be?
It seems like at the core, you started doing live streams in your basement at 2 a.m, drunk off your ass because you wanted to have fun. He shits on Opie and what he does all the time now, which is basically he pops on YouTube for an hour. He usually does it during the sunrise.
Yeah.
So you can see the sunrise. He'll talk over it. He'll do some lame jokes. But it's not a show. He doesn't refer to it as a show. It's just an hour-long hangout.
Exactly. It's not his money isn't tied up into it.
I think that's what Anthony wishes he could do. He shits on it all the time. He's like, wow, it's such a joke. If he wanted to get into radio again, he could totally do it. Because he spun records for years, and we've talked about this before. I don't think he could. I think he's damaged goods at this point. I don't think Opie could walk into a, classic rock radio station and be like, hey guys, it's Opie of, all these terrible things we did. Do you want me to get on and do a shift for y'all? No, probably not.
But I will say there's a chance that he could rebrand through social media and then get back into radio.
That is true. And we'll talk about Opie a bit because there's a clip coming up here that does involve Opie. But yeah, I think at the core of it, Anthony just wants to have fun.
His core wound is that he didn't get to have fun.
He didn't get to have fun. He got paid for the 2 years between WNAW and XM, so he couldn't compete with any rival networks, but he really wanted to get on the radio and broadcast. And he ultimately says that in that time period, him and Opie actually bonded more, because they just called up each other and talked over the phone instead.
Yeah.
They ended up having their show, essentially, just between the two of them. So he really wanted to just hang out, which does make sense about what the Opie and Anthony show aesthetic kind of is, where it is just a bunch of dudes hanging out, having fun, getting paid for it. But now, it hinges so heavily on it being an alt-right leaning show.
If you grew up and you felt that in a lot of ways you didn't have a childhood.
Mm-hmm. Anthony especially. We'll get there.
It makes sense that you would want your life as an adult to revolve around what you didn't have as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Which sounds like Anthony is doing that, where he's like, I just want to be in radio so bad. Because what was radio to him at the time? Fun, hanging out, doing whatever you want.
Just telling jokes with your friends.
No real bosses.
And if they are there, they're staying out of your hair.
No
they normally
confrontation.
let you do what you want to do.
Yeah, do what you want. Yeah, no confrontation. Instead of going to therapy, as he should have for years now. Decades. He has painted himself into the corner that this kid version of him has created this reputation. Because when you're a kid and you're cutting up and you're doing shitty shit and you're doing whatever, you're a kid. You don't know any better.
Right.
But when you didn't have a childhood and then you have to act out all these kid things as an adult, you have to be held accountable for these things now.
Yeah.
You and I have both experienced having to learn anti-racist things and anti-bigoted things because when we were shitty kids and also shitty young adults, we were like, wow, okay, we were not thinking hard enough. We were not being conscientious enough about this, and this.
Yeah.
And we held ourselves accountable and started moving forward with it. But when you're not held accountable and you're also coming from a childish place, like literally a child mentality, as an adult, you're fucked. You're like, that's where the whole concept of like rebranding maybe comes in. And yeah, Anthony has just like painted himself into this corner that's more and more alt-right. Kids say the darndest things, but when you're adults with a kid mentality,
that shit isn't cute anymore.
It's not cute, and
no one wants to be around you.
No one's gonna forgive you for it as easy if you were a kid. So like,
and this is the thing. When I say nobody wants to be around you, Anthony does have a lot of people around him from the O&A days, because I assume they want jobs.
Yeah, and it's money, yeah.
He'll point out that Opie's over there saying that I'm not the same person I was back when we were doing the radio show. I've always been the same guy. That's why all these people are still around me, because they know what I was like back then. None of these people came up to me and said, wow, Ant, you've changed over the years. But then if you look at Opie, nobody's around Opie. And what's Opie doing? He's talking about Joe Biden. He's talking about Alex Jones and Joe Rogan. He's shifted his ideology more liberal.
Yeah.
And he lost people because maybe, just maybe, all the people around Anthony are as problematic and racist, and they always have been.
And I was going to sort of draw a parallel between when you started shifting your channel.
Yes.
And also just shifting like who you were as a person. Just becoming,
I was going to bring that up here in a sec.
Yeah, you became more of who you were, actually, you know, and you lost a lot of followers and shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
With not, what is it, in a good way. You shed dead weight, it felt like.
The shit that was dragging me down. Yeah, a lot of toxic people. Yeah, I think it's worth pointing out here that if anyone, for whatever reason, jumped in at episode 6, we didn't just pick up shitting on Opie and Anthony as a hobby. I listened to Opie and Anthony ever since they came on the air in New York in 1998. I followed them till they got suspended from WNEW, listened to them on satellite radio from 2004 to probably 2010, 2011. So I'm no stranger to them. And I grew up on them, and they had a really big influence on my early content, my sense of humor, my personality. And a big part of this project is looking back and reevaluating that as we go.
And detoxing.
The detox. That there in tow is the portmanteau.
Yeah, have we ever explained it?
I think we talked about it in the first or second episode, that the O&A virus...
Yeah.
This show is a detox of the O&A virus.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go ahead and say this, too, because I know some people who are on the alt-right tend to jump to this defense. we're not trying to silence or cancel Anthony.
No, that wouldn't work or happen.
And it's been done. Like,
yeah.
He can't disappear any more than he already is.
He's a hermit.
It's his company. Mm-hmm. Like, he can't get fired or, canceled from the compound. It's his house. Or it's his studio at the very least.
Yeah.
He's paying for all this. He's paying all these people to be here. And, like, are we trying to reprogram you if you listen to Anthony? No.
No. This is how I view the show. This is you detoxing.
Okay.
Like, literally, this is you because you have all this information and you really just want to get it out there.
Yeah.
Not in a way that's like, people need to know all the details. But, like, I feel like you want to put the details out there.
I think it's extremely fascinating and a story that a lot of people would find interesting.
Yeah, because I didn't listen to them at all. But,
no.
But you're so into it, and I want to facilitate you sort of getting it off your chest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I feel like maybe putting all this out there, and this isn't like you have to do this and you don't have to keep this in, but it's almost as if, like, if we get this, like, off your chest and, like, give you, like, this, like, give you something to do with all this information you have and all the time you spent listening to it, it could give you, like, more room for other stuff. It gives you creative outlet. It gives you what you're benefiting. Right now, you're benefiting more than you've ever benefited from the show beyond, like, entertainment.
And there's a lot of people who comment and talk to me one-on-one about the podcast who I know don't give a shit and don't know anything about Opie and Anthony, but they're checking it out and they're learning as we're going, and I think that's awesome. Like, I think it's... Like, I don't want people to know about it.
Right.
But I think people should, if that makes any sense.
You'd think that, like, because radio's dead, there's no parallels to it now. Like, oh, like, what is this, a cautionary tale for what? Radio's dead. But that doesn't mean that this same framework can't be seen on Twitch, on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm sure there are already plenty of people who are already going down the slippery slope of painting themselves into this same kind of corner of being so edgy on Twitch, of being so edgy on YouTube and stuff, and, like, creating a brand that is not sustainable in terms of growing as a human, especially if you start really young. You can start young doing this kind of entertainment without immediately alienating a bunch of people. And that's what I'm saying with, like, just because radio's dead doesn't mean you can't use this as sort of a cautionary tale of how to not present yourself to the world, essentially.
Yeah.
If you know you have a bunch of eyes on you, like, you need to be aware of the repercussions of possible opinions you put out that people will disagree with and being accountable for them.
And it's interesting, too, because when Anthony launched the Compound Media in the first place, the only people who knew about it and wanted to sign up were Opie and Anthony fans.
Right.
Who else is going to know who the fuck Anthony Cumia is?
Yeah.
And now, I think the only possible draw and the only possible way that Anthony can grow his audience at this point is through Gavin.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And who's Gavin going to bring?
Yeah, because...
An alt-right audience.
Yeah, because...
Your audience is only going to get more toxic.
The way you grow, if you don't have, like, a very confined network already, is to have someone come on that has a bigger network than you, and Gavin would.
Or someone to promote you.
Yeah.
And who's going to promote you but people who already agree with you and probably have the same audience with you? There's, like, you're already going to have that overlap. But Gavin has that outside audience, that homegrown audience that he created, and the interest that he can bring to the show.
Yeah.
And that's just going to muddy the waters even more.
Yeah.
And require Compound Media to go in more of a right-wing direction, because they're going to look at the rest of the schedule and they're going to go, what the fuck is the rest of this shit? It's just people goofing off for the most part.
Having fun?
Having fun. I don't want that.
Yeah.
I want people talking about racist things.
Yeah.
So the first clip I have here is, again, comes from a place of, why would you pander to anyone but me? Why do you care about other people when I'm right here? Worry about me and my needs. I guess I don't have needs. What would his needs be? But they're watching a video from the Walt Disney Company called Reimagine Tomorrow, which is all about trying to focus on making content that is more representative of diversity groups, marginalized groups, trying to have writers from different backgrounds to tell different stories. All these things sound harmless unless you're one of these go woke, go broke mentality of seemingly caring about how a company does financially. I'm just like, oh no, you're going woke. You're gonna fail now. You didn't give a fuck about Disney in the first place. Why do you give a shit what happens to him now?
And I think it's really fucking funny that these white guys, these rich white guys, are just like, y'all are gonna be losing money if y'all are gonna be trying to include more people. As if Disney is some altruistic, wholesome, don't care about the bottom line company. As if they're not a fucking monopoly.
It's just a mom and pop entertainment streaming company.
Yeah. As they're looking at this as if Disney isn't doing this for money.
They might have talked about this in the longer clip. I only have this one clip. I don't have the bigger context. I haven't seen the episode in full. They could make an argument that this is pandering, but what they would do is they would leave off half the discussion.
Yeah.
They would, like, it's pandering to try to make content to cater to black audiences. And they would leave it at that. They wouldn't talk about the history of ignoring black audiences and that being a problem. Because to their eyes, why do you care about that audience at all?
Yeah.
Why should you care about them? In the video from Disney, the Reimagine Tomorrow, this is the big issue that Gavin puts a halt on everything. Stop the presses. I need to go on.
An ableist tirade with an ableist caricature voice.
That the uploader refers to as an epic rant.
Yeah. Okay, can I just interrupt this entire show?
Please do.
Stop with the fucking sign language.
Oh, yeah.
Listen to Anthony. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
that was nothing he was even thinking about talking about.
Yeah, he probably didn't even give a shit about that, the fact that sign language exists.
No. In their opinions, there's plenty of on this video to shit on. In their worldview.
Yeah.
Why even take a second to even talk about the sign language when we have all this inclusion, diversity bullshit to shit on, right? So yeah, I just wanted to point out Anthony's completely blindsided by Gavin stopping everything.
It's like, that was not planned. Yeah.
There is no situation where a fucking deaf person is like, what the fuck?
I don't know what they're saying.
What's going on? I can't follow that. Because even though I've been deaf my whole life.
And I had to look this up because I honestly, as someone who's never really put thought into this before, why wouldn't someone just use subtitles? Why do you need someone doing sign language if you could just have the captioning on the screen?
Sure, that's a fair question.
I thought, that's a fair question. And Gavin even says it in this clip. Even though I've been deaf my whole life.
Yeah.
Not everyone.
Not everyone.
Is born deaf.
Yeah, there are a lot of people who aren't born deaf.
Yeah. That is something that could develop. And people that have been deaf their whole life, sign language is their first language.
Yeah.
So the subtitles would be a second language for them.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't work. They would need the sign language.
Yeah. I'd also like to point out, because this is a Disney thing, there are a lot of children who are born deaf or hard of hearing who learn sign language before they learn to read.
Right, yeah.
So they can understand, like Disney is arguably a child-oriented company. And I also wanted to point out that we don't, do you know if this was originally aired live without subtitles?
I do not know.
There could have been no subtitles originally,
They're referring to the embedded video.
Yeah.
That Gavin, of course, found on the Daily Caller, because you'd only be looking on racist websites. No, or Daily Mail, specifically.
Right.
Yeah, so of course he's just going to see it. And of course, it was probably a right-wing slant on the article being presented in the first place.
Yeah.
Gavin also exposes himself to being even more ignorant on another topic.
I didn't buy the whatever $400 box that makes sure every
It's not even a box. Everything is subtitled.
Maybe they have a super box.
Super box.
Like Russian. I don't know.
What box are they referring to?
Anthony had to jump in and correct him. Gavin is talking about it, and I don't know when this is from, but according to Gavin, if you want closed captioning on your TV, you have to dish out $400 for a closed captioning box. And I will say, good on Anthony for actually having a set of fucking balls to jump in and say, they don't need that anymore. Actually taking a fucking chance to correct him about something for a fucking change.
Does he also have a box that he hooks to his TV for parental controls? Like,
yeah, he has the V chip enabled and everything.
like...
That doesn't let you play as women characters in video games. It X's them out.
It makes you prick your finger to figure out what kind of blood you are.
Yeah,
Like, this is man blood.
You're not playing as Dalsum or Bullrug. You can only play as Ken and Guile. So then Gavin has to, well, maybe if it's like in another language, in Russian or something. So he has to fucking backtrack of like, I don't fucking know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe someone might need that. Obviously, this debate, or not even a debate, this one-sided bullying continues.
Dude, at like City Hall, it'll be de Blasio or whoever, Eric Adams. And it's like some fucking cunt. Half the time it's a black woman lying.
Oh, yeah. It's all bullshit. She don't know what she's doing.
So if you have a black woman there doing sign language at a town hall meeting, she's lying and doesn't know what she's signaling. She's just making shit up.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
That is... What is that not? What kind of bigotry is that not? Like,
it ticks all the boxes.
So many of the fucking boxes. Like, what the fuck?
I don't know. Anthony, somehow, he takes it a step further here in a second.
No.
It is a visual joke, though, just giving you a heads up.
So the only people who can't see the subtitles are the 40 people there. You think out of those 40 people, maybe.
The black woman goes, Apple. Apple. Remember that? Please, come on.
Is that what she did?
No, that's it. It's going back a ways to some experimentation that was done with sign language back in the...
Like, oh, I don't know what that is.
Gavin had no idea what it is.
Gavin didn't know that extremely racist joke. Wow.
And then Anthony had to explain it. And did you hear me? He goes, nothing. Because, yeah, it was like, maybe Gavin of all people seriously thought, for once, maybe we're not going to compare black people to animals.
Yeah.
Maybe just this one time we're not going to do that. Never count it out, I would say. With Anthony, it's always on the table. For people listening to us on Spotify, he did the hand signal for Apple to his face. I'm thinking that's a Coco reference. Yeah, for anyone who's not aware, because we have been talking about, like, oh, who doesn't get that reference? For people who don't, yeah, he's talking about Coco the gorilla.
Yeah, he's dehumanizing black women as a whole group. Again, and
like
comparing them to gorillas, which is, obviously extremely racist.
Yeah.
So maybe there's one deaf person there.
Yeah.
What is that deaf person doing there?
What, at a town hall?
Yeah. Maybe out of 40 people, there might be one person there that's hard of hearing.
Why would a deaf person want to speak to their representatives about anything?
Why would they care? Life is great for them. Why would they care about needing any sort of provisions?
Yeah. Why?
Pretty good.
Why is there always a sign person there? Stop it.
It's such signaling.
It's the fucking chair at the motel that dips into the pool. No one's ever used that. Hi, I'm a fucking total raging gimp with lobster arms. Put me in this chair, and then, I don't know, leave?
He decided that...
Millions of trigger warnings.
Making fun of people who are hard of hearing, that's not enough.
No, let's go for people who are physically disabled.
Who have muscle disorders.
Who have any number of things that could cause them to want to or need to use that chair.
That now that Gavin himself has personally never seen anybody use it, that it's there for no reason and is just there for virtue signaling.
He thinks that ramps are virtue signaling.
Because
he thinks eyeglasses are virtue signaling.
Well, he is wearing glasses.
They're fake.
They don't have.
He's virtue signaling.
They're fucking Dudley Boys glasses. They don't have the glass
fake.
in them.
It's fake.
I think that's how we started. There was...
Yes, I interrupted the show.
No, I agree.
Scream about this thing that maybe, like, how many people have seen this fucking clip? I'm going to say millions.
Millions.
It's all over Britain. I saw it on Daily Mail UK.
Yep.
So this is a worldwide thing.
Yeah.
And for 4 people?
Yeah.
For 4 out of 6 million.
6 million people.
We've got fucking this shit. Stop.
Wait, you think that 4 out of 6 million people are deaf and hard of hearing?
Yeah. Maybe 4.
Maybe.
4 tops.
No. Let's just go ahead and look up the percentage of people who are deaf and hard of hearing per million.
Okay, yeah.
Estimates from the Survey Income and Program Participation is one of the few national surveys, collects data identifying American population, persons with hearing loss or deafness. 1 in 20 in America.
Maybe 4 tops.
Maybe 4.
And that makes me so angry, and I demand you stop for my benefit.
And let's go ahead and point out, deafness and hard of hearingness are a lot of times invisible disabilities.
Yeah.
So yeah, you might not realize that you know someone who is deaf or hard of hearing, or have encountered plenty of people, more than 4 out of, 6 million he guesstimated?
Can you imagine if you work at Compound Media and you haven't really been vocal about this, and you're just sitting there in the production room,
and you're like,
and they're just going to town on you.
You take any aids you might have and you hide them, and you're just like, they can't find out.
No.
They can't find out.
Because I know how Opie and Anthony are and how shock jocks go. They would just relentlessly make fun of me on air forever.
They'd have a segment every Wednesday for me.
They would have me, they would have me read things and have me try to, it would be fucking terrible. It'd be torturous. And I'm so, like, I don't know what kind of a big of an audience you have, but do you seriously think you don't have any listeners that are hard of hearing?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a pretty good chance you have. I wonder what his numbers are, because if you just pull percentages...
I wonder how much better his numbers would be if he offered a captioning system. Actually, I wonder if I go to his website...
Yeah, are there any transcripts or anything?
There probably is a closed captioning on the videos. I'd have to double check. I'm not...
Oh my god.
I'm not subscribed to the video right now. But no, according to them, that's all you need. The captioning is good enough.
So they're okay with captioning.
Captioning is fine. It's the sign language that is signaling, pardon the pun, and pandering. We divert to another topic briefly here. Anthony asks Gavin his thoughts on... I cut this part out. Ben Shapiro, not important. The main important, Nick Fuentes. What he thinks about Ben Shapiro, Nick Fuentes, and any of the younger conservatives.
People get fired from Turning Point for supporting me. So they stab me in the back, and I don't want to look like a pussy, but I don't stab them in the back. Nick Fuentes is totally different.
Nick is great.
Fire and brimstone.
I heard him last night.
Burn them all down.
Listen, he goes, you niggas. He doesn't care what he says.
I should have prefaced this by saying who Nick Fuentes is.
Yeah.
Nick Fuentes is the host of America First with Nick Fuentes, that I think right now streams on his streaming service. Right Side Broadcasting cut ties with Nick Fuentes back in August of 2017. To keep his bio extremely concise, he's a white nationalist, he's an anti-Semite, incel, he's extremely misogynistic, believes women shouldn't have the right to vote. He's just one of these people, he's one of these young people who goes on and is one of these debate bros.
Right.
But what Anthony loves about him is that he just doesn't care, man. He just flies by the seat of his pants and says everything he wants to say. He's very jealous of Nick. You can tell. Anthony and Gavin are, and they both say this straight up here in a minute. I'm not putting words in their mouth. They envy Nick for what he is and wish that they could have been that at his age.
And he talks about women. Oh my God, they should absolutely just be mothers, take care of the home. There's a family hierarchy. It's the man. And this isn't some thing that you just invented. This is the way it's supposed to be in God.
I wanted to point out here, because I listened to another clip where Anthony is talking about how conservative he is and how he's not a religious guy at all.
What the fuck?
But then all of a sudden here, Nick Fuentes is saying how all of these things are important biblically, and Anthony's all of a sudden on board.
Wow.
I don't know what convinced him. He's just so smitten.
He's so influential.
He's so taken.
Easily influenced.
Yeah, he's so taken by Nick's, what he refers to as a youthful exuberance.
In genetics, in fucking anthropology, this is the way it's supposed to be.
He has evidence to back it up.
Yeah.
Genetics and anthropology are enough.
Evidence that entirely excludes any matriarchal societies or anything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, those don't count.
He refers to himself as a 12th century man.
He's got this youthful exuberance to him, where it's this invulnerability and this, you know how when you're young you feel untouchable, unhurtable.
Right, yeah.
And things.
What are you going to do? Punch me in the face?
He's got that.
Go ahead.
And it's it's refreshing to see that put into somebody that's conservative. Because you see that in the left all the time. Fuck you. Yeah, I'll go out there. I'll punch a cop in the face. I'll do, it's like, all right, you're young and stupid.
Does he have, like, liberal envy?
I wish I could punch a cop in the face, but I seriously don't because because like my best friend is a fucking cop. Who, by the way, I didn't mention this in the last episode, but old Keith the cop, who helped build Compound Media, he left years ago. He left in 2020.
I was wondering, like, because you didn't really follow up on that. Interesting.
They are still, like, really close friends, but he's not affiliated with Compound Media anymore. And I saw in another clip that Anthony was talking about how Keith was trying to get into his ear, trying to convince him to maybe get some guests on the show that are a bit more mainstream and center.
Damn.
But Anthony said, fuck that, I ain't doing that.
I mean...
So maybe that had something to do with Keith leaving. I don't know.
Like, he's got that youthful exuberance and energy, but it's put in a great place where he's driven to speak his mind, speak the truth, criticize what needs to be criticized. Dude, I fucking love the guy. I've been watching pretty much every night.
How pathetic and sad is that?
Between matches and Call of Duty, I'll watch this kid's clips.
He's watching a young man in his very early 20s stream on his own personal little safe space streaming service, talking about how dangerous and harmful Jewish people are, talking about how everyone in the world is out to get white people. I watch him almost every night.
It's not that we feel like we're better than anybody. It's not that we feel like we should be in charge of everything. It's that we feel like if we aren't, then we're beneath everybody.
So in addition to being an attendee at the January 6th insurrection, big Stop the Steal guy, big, we're going to take the country back, Marjorie Taylor Greene, old MTG, made headlines back in February for attending the America First Political Action Conference. It's a white nationalist rally.
Yeah.
There's pictures there of people hailing. There's no denying it.
Yeah.
It's a white nationalist rally. Baked Alaska was there. Tons of people who've been banned from social media websites for hate speech, including your boy, Anthony Cumia, in attendance at the white nationalist rally. It's hard to make... I mean, after the last episode, reading his tweets, there's no doubt in anyone's mind at this point that he's extremely racist.
Yeah.
But there is such an element of just not giving a fuck anymore.
Yeah, like...
These are my people.
Racism being a spectrum, like so many things are.
Yeah.
You can be racist and not necessarily a white nationalist.
True, yeah.
Though you are benefiting from white nationalism, most likely, if you're white.
And just maybe not acknowledging that that's the truth.
Yeah, exactly. But it says a lot to stop towing the line, to stop sitting on that fence, and then just straight up just go to a fucking white nationalist convention.
On Friday, Fuentes announced that Greene would be a surprise mystery speaker at the conference. He said Milo Yiannopoulos, an alt-right provocateur who was disinvited from speaking in 2017 because of past comments about relationships between boys and men, helped set up Greene's appearance. Because he works for her now.
Oh.
But I can't deal with people who won't open their fucking mouths. When I post something, apartment boss post something on Twitter, and it's funny, it's a joke, or like I did yesterday, like Gilbert Gottfried died, and I was like, God damn it, fucking guy was hilarious, friend of mine, whatever. And it gets so many follows and retweets and shit. And then I'll post something that I know is the fucking truth. And I know I got a lot of people that will support it and agree with it, but they will not fucking retweet it. They won't favorite it. They'll probably read it and go, yeah, I agree, but if my boss sees this or anything. And it's hard to blame them, but at some point you got to go, no, I can't accept everyone shutting up to the point where it's getting so bad we're gonna fall off the face of the earth here.
It's so funny that he's so mad that
His posts aren't getting likes and retweets.
Well, he's mad that people who agree with him aren't speaking up.
Yeah.
And then he's also mad when people who don't agree with him do speak up.
Ah.
He only wants to hear things that he agrees with, like a what's the word? Like echo chamber?
Oh.
Huh.
So, look, you got to speak up at some point. And this is a
Fired,
kid.
get in trouble, be brave,
Right,
and never
be brave.
stop fighting.
And this is a guy, Nick, you know, his life has been turned upside fucking down. At this age, he better fucking well hope shit changes. Because if not, he's in for a lifetime of having to eke out a living without being able to be connected to any type of society, commercial activity, social media.
Oh, it's going to change.
You gotta hope it changes.
He's going to change it.
He's gonna do it. Did you hear him? Gavin, do you hear yourself?
How old is Gavin?
I would say probably in his 50s. He's gonna change it.
The children are our future.
Listen to the end of this clip.
That's
that's
beauty of
just it.
America.
Yes.
We have this maverick culture where one man, one Braveheart can get out there and change the wheels of destiny. I 100% guarantee you he's going to
getting sick of it.
He's going to become president one day.
Oh, God.
I promise you.
That would be amazing.
When you see him do talks and you see the energy around him, it's almost like God has touched him.
Oh, yeah.
Like he's chosen.
He's chosen by God. This little try-hard incel. He's gonna be president one day. You know, if his life isn't completely destroyed by the consequences of his own actions first. I saw clips of Anthony doing a live stream talking about how much he loved Trump. And that shouldn't be a surprise.
No.
If Trump was president right now, we'd be playing a lot more Trump clips.
Yeah.
But something that Anthony gravitates towards Trump so much is that he doesn't care what people say, what people think. He'll do whatever he wants, and that's the same thing he likes about Nick. Even if he doesn't necessarily, because I don't know 100% how much of the shit he actually believes, but he loves that Nick doesn't give a fuck.
You have to assume he believes everything he says he believes.
But what he loves about Trump and Nick are their honesty, their perceived honesty.
And probably say the same thing about Alex Jones.
But in that regard, I wanted to also include this clip about Anthony talking about his old pal Opie, because it's connected and relevant.
It's typical Opie, typical like Stuttering John, just this phony liberal attitude. This phony liberal, this racist, really? Literally the victim in that. And I never said, I'm the victim. But literally, what was I doing? Walking around snapping pictures and some bitch smacks me because she felt entitled. She felt she was able to do that.
Yeah, you know, black women, they feel like they own everything and they have all the power in the world.
Yeah, you always hear about black woman entitlement.
Yeah, obviously this is sarcasm.
And the answer to that was that I'm a racist. Get the fuck out of here. But a little more Opster here.
I was a betting man. If Anthony didn't go on an insanely crazy racist rant, even though we didn't like each other, we would have figured out something to keep the brand going.
Oh, there you go.
Was it my ego? There was a real end to the Opie and Anthony show, and that's when he went on a crazy racist rant and never took responsibility for that.
Because I still don't take I take responsibility for it that I said it. I don't apologize for it. And it was a hell of a rant. There were no slurs thrown in there.
Does he literally not remember what he said?
It's interesting though that sort of exposes where he mentally draws the line.
Yeah.
As to what racism is.
I didn't say slurs.
Slurs mean you're racist, is
Even
what
though
he's saying.
One could make an argument that, yeah, you did.
Yeah, exactly. You totally did.
Yeah.
Like,
just because you didn't spell out the N-word, you implied it in your first tweet.
Yeah, like, what other word do you think people thought it could be?
I said that the behavior was savage, and it was. said that there was a problem with violence in the black community. There is. Am I fucking... Please, punch up people shot in Chicago Labor Day weekend. That's all. Random. I could get screwed here. If it's 0, I am sure going to look stupid.
Then why'd you pick Chicago?
Yeah.
If it's totally random, why did you pick Chicago?
This is such a great sample size.
I could get burnt on this. That's why I did it on my fucking live stream in front of everybody. Shut the fuck up, Anthony. Shut the fuck up.
It's unbiased. This isn't leaning.
So, surprise, he gets what he wants.
Of course.
If no one was shot in Chicago over this weekend, I'm going to look stupid by saying that there's an overabundance of violence in the black communities. And I said that on my racist rant.
Were any white people shot?
He didn't look that up.
And could it have been about the same amount?
Maybe.
And so therefore,
it could have been. We didn't look that up.
Yeah, people. I'm just pointing it out, obviously, because like racist people love to be like, oh, black on black violence, black on black crime, and yet they never look up white on white crime, white on white violence, a lot of which is underreported.
But there was 0. 55 shot, 11 fatal. On Labor Day weekend, one city.
And you
Chicago.
laugh.
Yeah, and it's so funny now.
You never encounter somebody who is a white person who has all these racist assumptions about the black community, and they never seem to feel bad about it.
Yeah, no.
They're always like, ha ha ha, I knew it.
Serves them right.
I fucking knew it. It's like, what? Like, I would feel a little bit different if they were like, yeah, like, black on black crime, it's
if you
terrible,
showed,
you know,
the slightest bit of compassion.
I would feel the tiniest bit different.
There's none.
But
There's
there never is.
There never is.
Fuck off. Fuck you. Racist rant my dick. Accurate rant, shithead.
This one thing that I just thought of looking up that was totally biased confirms things that I'm totally taking responsibility for.
Fuck you, Opie. For calling my shit racist.
With your nice camera and your fucking weird lighting.
And your tattered shirt.
Your tattered shirt, but stylish.
Sorry if the company you fucking tried to work for and failed miserably after I was gone couldn't deal with the truth. Had a kowtow to the likes of Reverend Al and every other douchebag that sees the same problem I did, but didn't want to fucking acknowledge it and used me as a scapegoat. Oh, what a racist. Why? Saying the black community is violent? Saying that something's got to be done? Oh, racist. Blow me.
What are you suggesting?
What needs to be done?
Let's go down that path, Anthony. What are you suggesting?
Yeah.
What do you think needs to be done in regards to the black community?
Yeah. There's a reason he doesn't expound on that
You
one.
could have had 20 more tweets.
Yeah.
Tell us what you really think, you fucking pussy.
To have something to do with that gun you had on you?
Yeah, exactly.
That you could have used if you wanted to?
Exactly.
Could it be that you were talking about how you hoped that the men in the community would beat and kill them?
Yeah.
Is that what you think they all deserve, Anthony?
Yeah, Anthony.
Would that solve the problem you see, Anthony? I'm just curious.
We're just speculating that
I'm
Anthony,
just asking questions.
Anthony might be 1 or 2 tweets away from inciting violence against black people.
Yeah.
Again, arguably.
The next question posed in this series of clips is, should men be happy?
Oh my god. And this will probably go back to childhood, right?
This actually doesn't.
It does, but you just probably...
Maybe not.
Yeah, you there's no direct thing.
This starts on a topic of no women who do sex work are happy with their job, and they, quote, cry themselves to sleep over it because none of them actually want to do it, but they're being lied to by feminism that it's empowering.
What feminist are you talking to that is saying that sex work is empowering?
Probably like the Teen Vogue crowd, like the on the in feminists who are sex positive.
See, that's the thing. A lot of sex positive people, especially in op-eds or something, will scream that sex work is so empowering.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not more empowering than any other job.
It's just a job.
It's a job.
How many people do you think go home at their fucking retail jobs and cry? 'Cause they hate
Literally.
it and want something to do.
If you-
they're dead end office jobs that is fucking making them depressed and hating their lives.
Your
All work
fucking
is the same.
Compound Media fucking radio show job.
How did you feel doing air conditioning, Anthony? You were on your back in hot attics,
you were
inhaling
a tin
insulation.
Tapper? What was he? A
Tin knocker.
Tin knocker.
You were inhaling insulation. I wonder if that has anything to do with anything.
If someone's crying themselves to sleep, it probably isn't really about the actual thing they do for their profession and the fact that they have to do it to survive.
Yeah.
Any profession. I am a firm believer that we should not have to work to have a home, to have food, to have any shelter, to have water. We shouldn't have to work to have these things.
If you're so vocally pro-capitalism, anti-communist, anti-socialist community, you believe that the way capitalism works, there's no flaws.
Yeah.
Because at no point do I ever hear him say that he wishes there was an alternative. He doesn't see a problem with capitalism. Yeah. So then why would you think that, oh, this one line of work is so strenuous and torturous
the thing.
That is based on personal issues, daddy issues, all these things.
It is to assume that all sex workers are women is misogynistic.
True.
For one.
That's not brought up at all.
To assume that all sex workers are doing it because they have to is infantilizing.
Yeah.
And then like furthermore to assume that it is any different than another job, it just shows that he feels that sex is still very taboo. All kinds. There are two sides of this where there's an argument that all sex work is empowering. That is not true.
Right.
There's the argument that no sex work is empowering. Also not true. It's not a black and white issue. Everyone has days where it's empowering and days where it's not empowering. There are days where they feel like, I want to stop doing this. And there are days when it's like, I would love to do this for the rest of my fucking life. It all depends on the money.
Like any job.
Like any fucking job. And to presume that it is just black and white, it's not about the money, it's just your choice of your job because you can choose any job, as if it's that fucking simple in 2020 or 2022 or even like 2017, jobs were getting really hard to find. It really is just so belittling. It turns all sex workers into people who are victims when sex workers are just like anybody else who are just trying to fucking survive in this shithole economy and capitalistic society.
In this bullshit infantilizing narration that they're doing it to protect women.
Yeah, exactly. You think, oh,
we're doing this for y'all.
We're trying. First of all, you're all women. Second of all, we need to protect you all because you shouldn't be doing this.
Y'all don't know any better. We're doing this for your benefit.
Yeah, like what the fuck?
It feels exactly the same as union busting.
Oh, 100%.
We look at how much of a community that sex workers have, empowering themselves, talking amongst themselves, building themselves up. We can't have that.
Yeah.
I just think it's extremely hypocritical also for someone who made a career having sex workers in the studio consistently.
Oh, 100%.
All the things they did for you and to help your fucking ratings. The sex workers that you are, I guess, friends with.
Yeah.
But yet you still have this hatred towards even the idea that sex workers, women especially, because they don't talk about men.
Yeah.
They just talk about women, would dare try to eke out a living that I guess they themselves figure, well, that's not open to me. I can't do that job.
I've known some cishet men who feel a kind of jealousy.
Yeah.
They literally will say, I wish I could do that.
I've heard cishet women say that too.
Oh, yeah.
They think it's so fucking easy.
Yeah, there's this group. I feel like with cishet men, I feel like cishet women tend to think, I could do that easier than men.
True.
And then men feel like I could never do that.
There's no way.
Even if I was willing to do it, I would never profit off of it, which is not true.
No.
It is a different game for men.
Yeah.
But men can still do it. But there is this like resentment that like these women, or what I assume are all women, are using their bodies. They're sexualizing themselves and profiting off of it. How dare they? On one hand, women and people perceived as women do have an upper hand in porn because we're sexualized all the time. And so it's easy to sexualize us in any context.
Yeah.
Men, especially men who don't look like twinkish or burly or like giant dicks, cishet men in general are harder to sexualize because they have not been the target of sexualization for as long as not them have been. Gay men tend to be easier to sexualize. More feminine looking men are easier to sexualize, but the straighter and whiter black men are easier to sexualize because black men have been fetishized for like a long time. Yeah, white cishet men are at a disadvantage in porn a lot of times because they have so rarely been the target of sexualization.
When you look at men back in the greatest generation, stepping off those landing craft and friends and colleagues are exploding next to them, they kept going and got the job done. I can't imagine any more horrific, stressful moment than that fucking door fell. They all run out and just people are dying all around you. And you're still going, I got to get up that fucking hill. I'm
not going to get up that hill.
I'm
but
probably
I got to
not,
get
but
up
I
that
have
hill.
to. So you keep going. There is no fucking way women are capable of doing that.
No.
I don't care how they're trained in the army. They get the little stick with the big Q-tip and they hit each other and go, I'm ready for war.
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? 2, you know how many women have babies? You know that there are studies out there that show women have a higher pain threshold than men?
You know how many women serve?
You know how many women fucking serve?
And I'm not talking looks.
I mean,
what training footage have you seen that it's fucking American Gladiators? Is that your frame of reference? You think it's fucking Blaze and Nitro and Ice up there?
I mean, I've never engaged in basic training.
No.
Maybe they have a gladiators.
A big Q-tip.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to know. I will say, though,
Google military training, big Q-tip. See what comes up. And see if women are immediately screaming that they're ready for war. Because I know what device he means.
They're called pugil sticks.
Pugil sticks, okay. Not big Q-tips?
Yeah, they don't really look like the American Gladiator ones, but they're the same in concept.
So they are used?
Yeah.
Apparently?
Basic training pugil sticks, fort in the Marines.
And that's it, though, right? Like that's the only form of training they do.
Oh, of course. They don't get trained in any other way.
No! They just use the sticks and that's it. You're good.
Yeah.
Get out there. No woman. None. Regardless of training, he said. Could possibly endure it. Because all the video games he plays, all the World War II video games he plays, all the women that are in these video games, it's historically inaccurate. They weren't there. They weren't doing that.
Well, yeah, because they're video game characters.
All the movies I watch, it's always men. Yeah. Because, as we'll see over time, Anthony only watches old as fuck movies, and he never gets out of his fucking comfort zone of the same, 5 or so movies. Which is okay. Yeah, I know people who do that, but this is also something Anthony has criticized other people for doing, so fuck him.
And I will say, this is a extremely slippery slope. His argument that women can't do the things that men can do. Extremely slippery slope that really, you're going to get into transphobia soon.
And surprisingly, he doesn't.
I'm sure he has those ideas, though.
He does get homophobic, though.
Oh, like the gay men are just like women?
There's no place for women in so many things in this man's world.
Or fags.
Or isn't it? Or fags. Or fags. Could you imagine that? Some tranny.
Imagine homos on D-Day.
That man's scream comes out.
As if there were no gay men at D-Day.
No, there weren't any.
What, out of 6 million, there's
four
gay
tops
guys? Tops.
And bottoms.
And 2 tops, 2 bottoms.
Ah!
If you're fucking lucky. We all know that's 4 bottoms. 100%.
Yeah, we had to high five over the microphone. I probably touched it. It's okay. You heard it. But yeah, where the fuck are you getting this information from?
Yeah, like...
Are you reading any books and any material, or are you just watching your fucking Hollywood movies? Where the fuck are you getting these stats from, dude?
Yeah.
We don't, as guys, have it... and I'm not saying every guy. Look, there are plenty of fucking cowards and whatnot, and no one really knows how they're going to act in those...
Oh, there's nuances in men.
There's nuances.
But there's no nuances in any other group.
No. And of course there are some cowards out there, unlike Anthony here, who never served.
Oh, yeah. Excuse me. He plays Call of Duty.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's just like the real thing.
Thank you. It's historically accurate sometimes as long as you don't look at the other characters.
That's training.
That's training.
And as long as you downvote all the black characters and only upvote the white characters. That's part of the training.
Yep.
Life or death situations. But they knew enough dudes were going to do the job.
Yeah.
They knew. Get a fuckload of dudes, spill them out there. They're going to do what they got to do. And that's the majority of men. When problems arise, we will try our best to fucking get through it, figure it out without going, oh my God, like a bitch.
So he's arguing that, like, you get enough guys, you throw enough men at a situation, they're bound to get it done.
Yep. Even though they know they're gonna die, it doesn't matter.
That's like a how many cishet men does it take to screw in a light bulb joke right there.
Yeah.
Like, if you throw enough guys at it, it'll get done.
Ultimately, like, all these fucking movies, all these Vietnam movies we watched, we won Vietnam, right? Like, you throw enough... Hold on here. I just got a notification on my phone. Oh.
Oh.
I got some bad news about Vietnam.
Oh, fuck. So
I don't want to say anything unless he's listening. I don't want to be the breaker of bad news.
But see, I mean, he could argue it was all cowards.
That's the problem.
And I mean, honestly, with Vietnam was
kind of cringe.
Vietnam kind of cringe.
Kind of cringe. Not winning the Vietnam War.
Oh my god.
Kind of cringe.
A lot of fucking war atrocities. A little Kringo.
A little Kringo. You ever think about the optics of that one? You know,
yeah.
Didn't age well, my guy.
No.
Didn't age well. Kind of cringe. And he could possibly talk about how, like, again, not pointing out how it's a problem in the system, but he could probably also blame it on how many young people were there.
Yeah.
What was it? The fucking pop song or whatever. The average age of the man deployed was 19.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bunch of fucking millennials of their day.
I mean, that's why they're called infantry.
What the fuck do they know? You gotta get big men like me and Gavin in his Hawaiian shirt here. We would have been out there. You know what's funny? If you look at Gavin here, with his slicked back hair, his glasses, and his Hawaiian shirt, you know people actually have the fucking nerve to call him a goddamn hipster? Like, he's the face of hipster culture?
It's not that everyone you see is a hipster.
Ah.
It's that hipsters created a trend.
Yeah.
And then that trend became trendy, and other people adopted it.
And Alex Jones hates trendies, but likes that Gavin is one of the cool ones. In this clip, they go back to talking about sex workers, because, I guess, not enough harm done.
Yeah.
These women are just fucking polluted, damaged.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, it's because they followed the left's view of things.
That's not true. Just like I said, intersectionality exists within all groups and everything. There are plenty of sex workers who are not liberal.
No.
There are white nationalist sex workers out there.
I mean, look at fucking Mercedes.
Yeah.
You forgot your good friend who's probably gonna die behind bars?
Yeah.
What about her?
What about her?
You get any phone calls or any letters lately?
What about your friends?
Gavin.
Yeah.
What about them?
Right.
Said they'd be liberated. And we were like, you might want to just bake cookies all day.
Wait, no, that's a great point. You just brought up, I heard the cookies thing.
Yeah.
But they're talking about this, and I don't know when they were talking about Mercedes or whatever. Is it?
In a different clip.
Okay, yeah, like, you just talked about how your, like, bestie is Mercedes, Carrera, who's a sex worker.
Yeah.
Like, and you're just, this is why she's not responding to your shit.
Maybe it's because her husband or boyfriend is in the industry. But if you're a big scene porn
Yeah,
star.
you don't just work with your husband.
No.
I doubt that she only worked with her husband.
No.
But I mean, there are people who only do that, but I doubt that was the case. If a huge name like that. But I am sort of putting together a timeline in my head. I wonder if she like somehow heard this and was like, what the fuck, you shit talking on sex workers? Fuck you. But there are a lot of sex workers who hate themselves.
The kids go to school at 9. They don't come back till 3. 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3
Yeah.
of magazines. And
Oh, the life.
you want to make a fire?
She didn't don my socks today.
Stoke the fireplace. Have a bath. Then make a fire for the first time this year. Then sit on the couch reading a magazine with your feet by the fire, drying off.
There was a door that they needed to step through without knowing what the fuck was on the other side.
What am I hearing?
They're talking about men are at work all day. Women are at home. They get to read magazines, draw themselves a bath, eat some cookies, do nothing all day. That's the life.
This dates them
Yeah.
so much because they are pulling from like I Love Lucy era
And
sitting in your chiffon robe with
Yeah.
your curlers in, eating bonbons, waiting for husband to get home.
And Anthony even did in that clip an old-timey voice, his old-timey voice saying, "She didn't don my socks today." He's joking like that's the joke, and then straight up goes into, but that is his mentality.
That is literally his mentality. By the time that we got into the 80s and 90s, people were fully aware that people who stayed at home did home work. There's a lot of work to do at home.
And he's seriously sounding like fucking Dan Quayle in the goddamn Murphy Brown episode, talking about how Murphy Brown is like a bad influence for... What year was that? How long have there been women in the workforce? And like consistently across the board. And Anthony and Gavin are over here sounding like they're making going to work at a 9 to 5, they're equating it to like going to war. Like, y'all wanted to break through that glass ceiling so bad, and now y'all are so depressed because y'all didn't realize how good you had it. Our lot in life is to do all the work. If you can be happy because you don't have to do the shit work.
We work to make you happy.
Yeah. It's not important if we're happy. All I had written down for a note in this clip was go the fuck to therapy.
Literally.
Because how much they were downplaying. They were like, happy? What's that?
Elijah Schaefer had dinner with him the other night, and his wife goes, "How are you doing? Are you happy?" And I was like, I go, "What?" Like, when was the last time a man was like, "Yeah, I'm not happy"? No one's even ever asked me that before in my life.
No.
So I just went, I don't know.
I don't know how to answer that.
I haven't looked up. Let me check.
Yeah.
HHA. I haven't seen that file.
I don't know what that is.
Are you seriously going to sit there, Anthony, and tell me that this doesn't make you happy? Having your own media streaming company? This isn't a hobby that you get paid for at this point?
Yeah, arguably you've been doing Anthony Cumia's job
Yes.
since the late 90s.
Since 95.
Since 95 has been easier and cushier than any housewife's ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
I put money on that.
Oh, yeah. He'd probably be the first to tell you that.
Like,
If you all of a sudden turn that table, that's just the easiest fucking job.
so easy.
So many times in his book does he say that, like, this is a fucking blessing.
And you know-
Especially compared to his job before. This is a walk in the goddamn park.
You know what a great example is? He had to find a woman to furnish his house because he didn't want to do the job.
Couldn't do the
yet,
job.
And yet he's shit talking how easy it is to be a housewife
Yeah.
or to just be a woman at home. No, he's talking about being a housewife. Yeah.
Yeah.
You chose to go through that door, and there's no turning back now, and you're stuck. Now you're stuck. You're going to get into your 40s, and you don't have kids, and that biologically fucks them up.
Which is
That's-
why they go
a
so
chemical
fucking crazy.
At some point in their head and goes, what have I done?
Right. Because it's so, like, say we lived on a planet where you and I had to become fags.
This is major go to therapy session right here.
Yeah.
Gavin and Anthony now speculate what it would be like if we went to another planet and were gay all of a sudden.
I mean, we've all read that fan fiction.
At like the age of 25.
What's it called? Best planet ever?
So, and you don't know otherwise.
Yeah.
You're just like sucking dicks at 25 and you're like, oh God. And then he's like, yeah, and he's jizzing all over you. You're like, ah, fucking, why can't I? And then you go up to a girl and she's like, what are you doing? What are you, insane?
Yeah, what?
I don't have a cock that you suck cocks. And you're like, those seem great, those boobs you have. Ew.
Yeah.
Gross. After a while, you start going, fuck this world. And you would start destroying things. That's what they're doing.
So, theoretically, when they were younger, they thought of these things, then immediately were like, no, whether or not they had desires for them or not. And they started hating themselves and wanted to burn everything down.
And what does this say about your view on sex at all?
At all.
Because you're straight up saying now that no women want to have sex with guys? And that in their brain, it's gonna drive them crazy? What are you talking about? Or are you just talking about sex workers? Because ultimately, it is just a commentary on your view on sex.
I also wanted to point out that they said, what if we went to another planet and we had to become gay guys, right?
Yeah.
I assumed there wouldn't be women on that planet.
No, they'd still
then
be
there were.
there. It'd just be a parallel universe.
Why is it a different planet? Why
Well-
couldn't it
well,
just be there?
No. It's a different universe. But here's the thing. They go to the planet, they have to be gay and don't want to be gay. And they that's what I'm saying. Like, the way he's making it sound is that he's almost making an argument that all women would be happier if they were gay. And they didn't have to deal with men.
That's true. I mean...
But that's not the argument he's...
Yeah, that's not... Yeah,
That's not what he's thinking
that's like
he's
the
saying.
subtext of what he's saying.
Yeah.
I think he realizes if he had to have... That's what he's saying, yeah. If he had to have sex with guys, he'd hate it.
He'd fucking hate it, yeah.
But it's not because he doesn't want to be gay. It's because he doesn't want to have sex with guys. Do you see my differentiation?
Yeah.
It's not that he wouldn't want to be with who he wants to be with.
Yeah.
It's that guys suck.
Yeah.
And guys are gross.
Yeah.
And it's like, that says a lot about you.
Yeah.
That says a lot about how you view sex.
Yeah.
And how you imagine having that mentality and trying to have sex with someone that you want to be attracted to you. You would think that they assume you're disgusting.
Yeah.
Which you know, if you're Anthony, you are.
When you date them from like 26 to 29 and then dump them, they know, at least subconsciously, they threw out their ovaries, they threw out their future.
Yeah.
And you know, genetically they know, I'm not having grandchildren, I'm not having children. You just killed like a million to 10 million people.
Yeah, think about that over
It's
the
in there
course of
somewhere.
History somewhere.
And they wanted it,
lot
and
of
now it's
people.
gone.
He's making the same argument that anti-abortion people make about how teaching safe sex, by teaching that abortion is okay, you're eliminating millions and millions of lives.
Potential lives.
Potential lives. He's now saying that by women entering the workforce, they're throwing away the best years of their lives that they could be spending making babies.
I think it's funny. Whether or not these women or people want to have babies, I think it's funny. They blame women working
Yeah.
on the women's choice to work, as opposed to crumbling economics over the past several decades, forcing women to work because one person's paycheck isn't enough.
Yeah.
Whether or not these people want to have kids or not, it would be amazing if only one person had to work or both people only had to work half as much.
Yeah.
But nobody ever talks about that. They're always like, why did the women just wanted to have fun and get a job? No, that they sort of had to, especially if they were single. But no, men don't deserve to be happy. Next clip. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, I'm fine leaving that topic alone.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it really goes anywhere.
Now here, Anthony breaks the news to Gavin about how much money Alex Jones is going to have to pay the plaintiffs in his most recent Connecticut trial verdict.
Right before showtime here, the decision, Alex Jones decision, the jury decided how much money he owes the parents of what school was that?
What school was that?
Hook parents.
My theory here, they haven't been paying attention. I've been watching in a place of, I want to watch this man's downfall. So I have that interest. So maybe they don't have that same interest. But for how they talk about Alex here, you'd think they would be interested in what happens to him.
Yeah.
Sandy Hook?
Sandy Hook, the Sandy Hook parents. Now, you don't know.
I do not.
And you guessed 50 million.
I guess 50.
Yeah.
500 is insane.
500 million would be insane.
Yeah.
How is this a few bucks short of $1 billion? Yes, just a few dollars short of $1 billion.
Gavin immediately threw his head in his hands on the desk.
Yeah, and
For
Anthony's
those
like,
on Spotify.
Anthony's like, smiling?
900 and is it 60 something? 67. $967 million. That Alex Jones now. I don't know what I'm doing. How do I get this?
We don't have a justice system anymore.
No, there's no justice.
This is Farouk Assault. This is Willy Wonka kids, spoiled brat juries going, a billion, million, zillion.
Because you know these juries benefit from the amount that he pays.
Yeah, what
The
did they
jury
get?
is made up of the parents. Don't you know that?
Yeah, what does the jury get out of this?
Do you not understand how juries are formed?
And how little they get paid?
Fuck's sake.
Do you think those lawyers giving them a cut?
Didn't one of the jurors of one of the cases say that they couldn't be a juror because they didn't get paid enough?
They couldn't afford to miss work.
Yeah.
And they had to excuse themselves from the trial, yeah. There's a few things here.
Yeah.
Anthony's laughing. Anthony's straight up doing an impression, mocking Alex.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm going to get this
As
money.
if they're so different.
Alex Jones's show is a 4-hour show. Typically, Alex only hosts the first 3. And there's a revolving door of people that host the 4th one. For a while there, Anthony hosted the 4th hour of the Alex Jones show.
Wow.
They have a working relationship. And that is how your friend, Anthony, reacts to you having to pay $1 billion you, according to you, don't have. But he probably does not have $1 billion on hand. That is true. He does not have $1 billion on hand.
Like in his purse.
It's clearly not funny to Gavin. Yeah, Gavin's over there hyperventilating because he can see how this could easily fuck him over in the future.
Wait a second. This is setting precedent, isn't it?
Oh God, 500 would be insane.
Because one of the basis of the case was that Alex Jones was in his coverage of the Sandy Hook stuff. He was inciting violence against people.
He was saying people should look into this. He would applaud and reward people who confronted people.
Yeah, and Gavin knew
He sent reporters
Yeah.
to harass people. Yeah, Gavin is not unlike Alex here.
Yeah.
If anything, Gavin has probably a much dirtier past.
Yeah.
I don't know the specifics of.
Yeah.
But I'm sure if I did any amount of digging,
Right.
I'd be able to find some. He's currently suing the Southern Poverty Law Center because of their classification of the Proud Boys as a hate group.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, good luck with that one.
Yeah.
Good fucking luck.
You just come up with an
It's
insane
just
number.
vindictive. He was wrong about Sandy Hook.
Yeah.
We're 99% sure. I'm still leaving an opportunity, little tiny little.
You're right.
Maybe.
When they say we're 99.9% sure, the people that they're talking to know.
It's less than that.
They know the real number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All Alex Jones did was be wrong.
He just be wrong, and then
That's all he
then
did.
he gets moneyed.
As a commentator since the early 90s, he's talking about things that are going on. He's discovered infinite conspiracies that were true.
Name one thing he's discovered that's true.
Yeah.
They are making the frogs gay. There's estrogen in the water. All that
Right.
stuff is affecting amphibians. He says it in a kooky, exciting way.
They are making the frogs gay. Estrogen makes frogs gay.
Infinite. I can name you one.
Have they ever seen Jurassic Park, though? Frogs already do that, though.
Yeah.
Like, frogs already adapt to the situation and will make sure that they have offspring by changing their genitalia.
But see, this furthers my argument.
But the frogs already do that.
That they don't care.
No.
Because the only example
The only example they have that holds any liquid
is a meme.
is
a
meme.
widely spread meme that anybody, even if you've never listened or watched Alex Jones before, you know about that they're putting stuff in the water to make the freaking frogs gay. You've seen it. These are your close friends, and this is the only example of the infinite times since the early 90s, he said, I think.
30 years?
30 fucking years. I got this one
30
meme.
years, and all you got is that maybe the frogs go gay a little bit sometimes.
During them reading the decision of how much Alex was going to have to pay, he was doing his show while they were announcing it, so you could see his live reactions to how much he was going to have to pay, and of course he was acting like he was thrilled. Even in that, he says, I said that they didn't have weapons of mass destruction. I said the whole thing about Jussie Smollett. Everybody knew about the weapons of mass destruction being bullshit.
Yeah.
You didn't have to be a member of an incredibly racist family radio show host for decades to be able to say that shit. Now, was I sure about the Jussie Smollett shit? No, I wasn't. Chicago cops, I think it was Chicago cops, against a gay black man, and yeah, I sided with the gay black man, because historically, you'd be in the right. These are the same people that bring up the Duke lacrosse team when they try to talk about how, all women rape, they'll lie about rape.
Yeah.
I got one example. I'm going to run to the end of the earth with it.
To entertain you, he's hyperbolic, and he had a theory that Sandy Hill didn't happen.
Excuse me? You know what? I want to sue him just for pretending he doesn't know the name of the fucking school.
And he was the one that told Anthony earlier. He was the one that said it was Hook. Now all of a sudden it's
I want to
Sandy.
sue both of them.
I cut it out here, but I wanted to bring it up. When they talk about how eccentric Alex is, they talk about hanging out with him. And they think it's so great and so funny. And I'm sure he'll get a kick out of this. He seems like such a cool guy to hang around. Alex is one of these guys that he'll be at the table and he'll pull his arm sleeve up. He'll be like, hit me as hard as you can. Go ahead and punch me. I can take it. Just punch me as hard as you can. It'd be real funny.
Which is like in the middle of dessert?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
This is the guy who will smoke on Joe Rogan to seem cool.
Just once a year.
Yeah. This is a guy who just wants to seem cool around people he thinks are cool. Why would you act like this is some cool guy? It's so funny. He wants us to punch him. Like, what kind of guy does that, right? Alex, he's so kooky. He's kooky and eccentric. If he's guilty of anything, he's guilty of being kooky.
That's like me when I was in middle school and I...
Were you kooky?
Oh, yeah.
A kooky eccentric?
Yeah, I wanted everyone to arm wrestle me.
No, okay. Yeah, that's honestly... I hate to draw the parallel here, but yeah, how old were you?
Middle school.
Okay. And Alex Jones in the 2020s.
Yeah.
Same mentality.
I wanted people to arm wrestle me, and I sack tapped a lot of people. Just surprised them.
I would say Alex Jones is the kind of person that would do that, but I think he'd be afraid that he would legitimately piss people off and not do that.
No, he wouldn't be afraid of pissing people off. He'd be afraid of getting gay.
If someone sack tapped him, though, if Gavin did it to him, he'd act like it's the funniest goddamn thing in the world. Because we've all seen The Office, right? Do you remember the friendship that Michael Scott had with Todd Packard? And Todd Packard was the biggest piece of shit in the world.
Yeah.
But Michael Scott had to act like he was so funny because he wanted to seem cool. That's Alex all the time around anybody.
Yeah.
He never said go harass these parents.
No.
You are not watching.
Oh my god.
You were not paying attention. Quit making it this obvious.
His theory was incredibly traumatizing. Look, fucking Turks deny the Armenian genocide.
Yeah.
That's 1 million Armenians dead. That must be very traumatizing for people.
Gavin goes on here, citing plenty of examples here of how oppressive governments have led to genocides. Surprisingly, leaves out the Holocaust and slavery in America. And he's saying, like, that's very traumatizing. Shouldn't you be able to seek money in damages and defamation from these governments?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what reparations is.
Yeah.
No one's saying they can't. No
Yeah.
one's saying they shouldn't. The fact that you didn't bring up slavery is a glaring omission, first of all. But that's seriously how deep and how desperate he is to even try to grab anything for an argument.
Yeah, it's oh, well, if you're gonna do that, it's like the argument of like, oh, so you want to cancel student debt? What now? What, you want to cancel rent? You want to make food free? You want to make it easy for people to like survive without like, starving on the street or something? Yeah, you're fucking getting there, buddy.
Fucking yeah. Again, you're so close.
You're so close.
You're so close.
What's happening now is we are having babysitter jurists, Sex and the City fans.
Babysitter jurists,
Sex and the City fans. What year
do you think
is this?
that means?
He's just trying to paint, like, I guess, liberal white women?
Who watches Sex and the City anymore?
What year is it? Gavin! It's not the 1950s. It's not 2000. What fucking year do you think it is? Oh, Alex Jones. Isn't that just the guy who was talking about 9/11? What's the worst he's done? He talked about 9/11 and nothing else.
Yeah, like, sometimes there are just some people, like these people, that just seem like they're living a whole different timeline.
I know. It's a weird, twisted version of reality.
Yeah.
It's their own personal, augmented, alternative reality.
Sex and the City fans who are just vindictive control the courts, not the lawyers, not the defense, not the prosecution, not the judges, just these cunty kids.
Yeah.
That's our justice system now.
The judge does not decide whether or not someone is guilty. The lawyers do not decide if someone is guilty. The prosecutors do not decide if something's guilty. The jury decides if someone's guilty. So Anthony now has to jump in and do damage control of that. That is how courts work.
Yeah.
Gavin.
What do you fucking think?
That's not anything new.
Well, because it does boil down to the jury of your peers, and the peers change over time. The peers aren't the same now.
We're Alex's peers.
No. That's not what peers fucking means.
That's not how
Peers
shit
doesn't
works.
mean your bros. Peers doesn't mean people you've worked with.
There's a whole reason, by the way, that jurors are selected by being unbiased.
Yeah, and they're
Not people you've worked with and know you for years.
yeah, you can't know the people in the case.
No.
The lawyers choose who goes into the jury.
You don't think they'd pick Gavin?
They would have. Yeah, we're Alex's peers. We should have been on the jury.
Yeah.
And said, how much? Nothing. $0.
$0.
You have to pay his fucking legal fees.
Feel like I just walked into a Jimmy John's, and
Welcome to Jimmy John's!
I yeah, thanks.
Welcome to Moe's!
No, Moe's would be much better. I
Okay.
walked into a Jimmy John's just to use the bathroom, and I overhear this conversation.
Oh,
And
God.
I slow down, and I'm like, oh, let me tie my shoe. And this conversation's still going on. And I go to the bathroom, and I'm sort of rushing the bathroom because I got to know where the rest of this conversation goes.
You got it. Yeah, please don't be
and
finished.
on the way out, I pretend like I'm looking for for something to buy, just because you want to be a customer when you go to use the bathroom in a place. But I'm not going
Sure.
to spend a fucking penny at Jimmy John's.
God, no.
And so I'm like, I pull out while I'm listening. I was still listening. I pull out my wallet, and I'm like, I audibly say, "Oh no, my card." Where's my money?
Oh, no!
And I look at, I make eye contact with the cashier, and I'm just like, ah. And then I leave, having heard this conversation.
What is going on here? What's happening?
This is not a conversation that needs to be on the fucking podcast.
Absolutely not.
Okay, you remember, and this isn't a slight against you, baby you at all.
Uh-huh.
But you know how you recorded so much growing up?
Oh, yeah, everything.
You recorded everything, which
Yep.
is awesome, and I love that you have that. This is what they're doing.
Yeah.
These 80, 90-year-old men are recording everything.
Yeah.
And then they publish it.
I don't know where the comedy is supposed to be in any of these clips.
Where's the comedy? It's like, where's the beef? But where's the comedy?
Yeah, even when they're laughing, I'm just like, there's people listening, laughing along to this? Why?
Where'd they laugh?
I don't know.
I wish there was you know how there's like a, I think YouTube does it now, but like other websites used to do it, where you could see where everyone clicked to Like,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
What part of the video was the most
viewed
popular?
part.
Yeah, I wish they could do that, but with like, which was the funniest part?
Oh, yeah.
You know, like it had like a graph, so they'd be like, okay, this is where they laughed, and
Laugh
then you're just
right
like,
here.
and you click on it, and you're like, oh, it's just a racist joke.
Oh,
Oh, it's just an ableist slur.
I should have known.
Like,
An apology.
An apology.
How about just like,
Yeah.
I kind of thought it was a fake shooting. I guess I was wrong.
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna say it's a little bit different to say, I kind of simply thought in my head alone that it may have been a fake shooting. I was mistaken. Versus, I multiple times went on to my millions of viewer show, told them, hey, I've seen actors before, and totally made it seem as if this whole thing was fake on multiple occasions. And
Name some names here
dropped
and
some
there.
names, told people to go harass these people.
What trial are you watching, Gavin? Like, either you're willfully ignorant to this whole situation, or you seriously don't know what the fuck happened because you just were not paying attention.
I argue that the only reason he would be paying attention is for his own self-preservation.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Other than that, why should he?
you know how they say Alex Jones was always right? Alex Jones saying they're going to use this, they're going to come after. Yeah, probably. They probably will. For good reason, though.
Yeah.
And you're right. If Alex did just go on his show and say, I don't believe the shooting happened, that's not a basis of a trial.
No,
a court.
no.
They wouldn't have a case.
No.
And Alex says, I know we're going on a whole different alley now,
Yeah,
but
that's fine. I'm just sort of fiddling with my phone. I'm not checking stuff.
that Alex says, these parents never would have known if I said anything, unless these lawyers showed them. You're half right. The lawyers never would have known you were talking about them on the radio if it wasn't for the people that were incited to make themselves and you known
Yeah.
to these parents.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, you can say bullshit on your show all day.
Yeah.
Anthony and Gavin do it every fucking Wednesday.
Yeah.
And none of it is basis for a fucking case, because I'll give them this much credit. I think they know where that line is and not to step over it as far as what's legally actionable.
Well, see, we can come back to the to his firing, because I argue that it isn't the censored N-word that got him fired. I argue that
Right.
it wasn't the amount of words he used. I think it was hoping for violence against this person
Yeah,
that got him fired.
you can't make any excuse for that.
Because that is calling for violence against anybody.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if that person isn't on Twitter. It doesn't matter if that person you didn't tag them or something.
Yeah.
You called for violence against somebody. Yeah, that's a fireable offense.
Yeah.
And if that person were on Twitter, they could sue you.
Really knows.
Fucking $1 billion for getting Sandy Hook wrong?
Yeah.
That's not the way America works. We get things wrong all the time.
Do you think that any parent of any child that was supposedly killed there?
Yeah.
Do you
know.
really just want to follow in the footsteps?
Yeah, do you want to be next? Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Like,
Do you think your audience cares that much? Do Anthony and Gavin really think their audience is all like 100% Alex Jones was innocent, Alex Jones didn't do anything? Why would you assume that? Unless y'all think
don't
so.
okay, if your audience is representative of your views and stuff, y'all don't even fucking know what the name of the school is.
Heard live firsthand Alex Jones comment on it. I gotta say,
guaranteed zero.
I gotta say, none of them.
No, what happened was some lunatic who watches InfoWars
Yeah.
went to like one of the guy's houses.
Right.
And then that's when every other parent heard about it. And they
Yeah.
went, wait, they're coming to our houses now? And then it was like as Kanye would say, DEFCON 3.
DEFCON 3.
Isn't as bad as DEFCON 1, but whatever.
So
Correction.
you are aware.
Correction, he said DEFCON.
He said death. Deathcon.
Yeah, with a TH.
Yeah. So you do know that happened.
Yeah, you know these specifics that a lot of the lay people around the world wouldn't know offhand, so...
So that's not a problem to you.
I will say, you pretending not to know the name of the school is even shittier.
Yeah.
Now you're almost implying that the school didn't exist?
Yeah. Well, that is one of the conspiracies.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They
That
thought it was...
that it was a a toxic dump facility.
That's right.
That they built up a facade of a school around.
So many schools just look like trash. Like, what are y'all talking about?
Yeah, you don't have to be a toxic waste dump to look shitty.
Yeah, right?
You could just be in a fucking Republican-led city with no taxes to go to your fucking school program.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they all went, let's just fucking murder him. And if my kids were even had their toe stubbed, I would want the guy to run
on a
hell
personal level, of course.
eternity. So,
But that's not how the system's supposed to
right.
work.
So, like, wait a minute. How many kids? There's like probably 30 kids shot to death in Sandy Hook. So we've got 60 parents. So 60 parents are getting $1 billion.
Yeah.
Okay. You happy now?
Yeah. Did that work out?
You win.
No, they're not happy now.
Their children
Gavin.
are dead. Like, why do you think they'd be happy?
Yeah.
They just want the person who's making their lives a living hell to pay.
At that very end there, that was the most insightful clip of how angry they actually were.
Yeah.
Cause,
Yeah, because you could hear their tone.
Yeah.
They're not like, then they did a fake laugh at the end, and then at the very, very end, it was like, you happy now?
And they tried to make it sound like, oh, cool, $1 billion split 60 ways, which I don't think is the way it's going. Again,
Yeah, no, it's not. Yeah, it's not.
That's not the way it goes. Wow, big payday for you to downplay it.
It's not the parents being greedy.
No.
It's the parents rightfully looking for justice for their fucking lives and their children's lives.
And they get this $1 billion settlement, this $1 billion verdict. And what does Gavin get from that? That there is no justice in the country anymore because this isn't how shit works.
What would justice look like for these people?
He said a public apology. That's bullshit.
That's what
we know. That's bullshit.
That's what you want the precedent to be.
Yeah,
that's what you hope. That's all you
You'd
have
love
to do.
that. I know you don't have too many close friends, Anthony, but just a tip, maybe a helpful hint from Heloise, since you like old references so much. I'd maybe distance myself from Gavin. Maybe not have him on the show every week.
Yeah, for your what was it? What did we call it?
White Oppression Wednesday.
Oh, that's even better. I think it was different.
It was. I don't know what we said. For someone who, by the way, on Wednesday when Opie goes live, he says something like, "Hey, shout out to everyone celebrating Whip 'em Out Wednesdays out there." And Anthony shit on him for that, for like living in the past.
I mean,
it's harmless.
You're living in the past by riding the coattails of your shitty reputation.
I played it for you from the last episode how Bill Burr should know how O&A fans are.
Oh, right.
He still calls them O&A fans. Because how many unique Compound Media fans do you think you actually have? A big percentage of them are holdovers from the O&A days. And he's smart enough to acknowledge that. He has no delusions about that, I don't think.
He's got delusions about everything else.
Yeah, about his safety, about the direction of the country,
Yeah.
about liberals, just about everything, yeah. So the last clip I have here is from that same episode, actually, October 12th. They're talking about, and I don't leave any clips about this in because it doesn't matter. The thing that they originally start talking about is how everyone is trying to cancel Bill Murray now. A lot of stories have been coming out about how shitty it is working with Bill Murray.
Right.
And how inappropriate he is.
Yeah.
And they didn't say it specifically in this story, but Gina Davis even talked about how he was extremely forward and inappropriate with her. No, the reason I pull these clips is because they randomly go on an offshoot and they start talking about Brendan Fraser.
Okay, and so this is recent. Okay.
They're talking about him, his standing ovation for The Walrus.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
Where he plays a
600-pound gay man.
Yeah, a 600-pound gay man, which he is not.
They don't have a problem with any of that.
Yeah.
The problem they have is why he got blacklisted from Hollywood in the first place.
Wow, yeah, let's dredge all that up.
At Cannes or some gay festival, they clap for 10 minutes. And he starts crying.
I bet that never really.
They've showed this twice now. So this was in the news like a week ago. It's back in the news today. Front page on Daily Mail that he burst into tears as he accepted, I don't know, some award for his gay faggot movie. But then they talk in the article about how he's a sexual assault survivor. And I'm like,
oh boy.
I'm guessing this is horseshit.
Without any research, he's already guessing it's bullshit.
It's this idea.
Yeah.
That comes from privileged men.
Mm-hmm.
They think there's a kind of social currency to being or saying you're a sexual assault survivor. I just don't understand it, because being a sexual assault survivor, you don't gain anything from it.
You heard about that. You did no research.
Yeah.
Did you wonder why he disappeared for so long? Did that not even cross your mind? Like, oh, he benefited so much.
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh, he got applauded for 10 minutes after
and got
having
some
to...
faggoty award
Yeah.
at some faggoty award. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking K.
It's
I'm
like...
such an outsider, man. Oh, Hollywood, such gay shit. Whatever.
Yeah,
Fuck off.
it's such bullshit to be like, oh, he benefited so much, because that's the implication.
Yeah.
That like, oh, 10 minutes of applause, this award.
It also goes down another way that I'm sure you're aware of, but you haven't mentioned yet. Their take.
And so I had to look it up, and it's some head of a actors union who's obviously a fag, right? Because
Yeah.
I was hoping that it would be a woman, because that would be funnier.
Yeah, definitely.
She showed up. She took off her trench coat.
I was so hard.
She was wearing lingerie.
Yeah, because women never commit a sexual assault.
Well, according to them, they can't.
Yeah, and that's also fucking atrocious, because anybody can commit sexual assault.
Anthony and Gavin are the type of people that think female teachers can't rape their students.
Yeah, especially boy students.
Oh no, that's the best day of your life.
Yeah,
It's that kind of mentality.
which is
it's horrifying.
terrifying.
And it really makes me wonder, well, we'll get to Anthony.
Yeah.
But I wonder what kind of childhood Gavin had
Yeah.
that would make you think that. Because
Yeah.
that's really fucked up.
Yeah.
I look it up, and it wasn't a woman. Men cannot be sexually harassed by women, so let's stop that. They might be able to be sexually harassed by a fag in a place called prison.
Yes.
But as far as real life goes, no.
Prison isn't real life?
No, prison isn't real life, yeah.
Wow. I mean, like, obviously a bunch of shit he just said is fucked up.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
Like, I'm also like, prison's not real life, I guess.
Yeah, no. Prison isn't real life. If you're in prison, your life doesn't matter. You're not a real person.
I mean...
I wonder why Mercedes Carrera is not calling you.
Yeah.
I wonder why she's not writing back.
They do try to follow those ideologies in the carceral system, so...
No, you can't. Not by a woman. It just can't happen.
By a man.
Oh, but you don't think a man could be sexually assaulted by a man unless they're a fag?
I just think that if some guy
I'm just getting it straight.
Anthony taken off guard by, again, Gavin being way more out there than he even is.
Oh, but you don't think a man could be sexually assaulted by a man unless they're a fag?
I just think that if some guy
I'm just getting it straight.
yeah, if some guy worked here, if E-Rock was a fag, and on my way out he grabbed my ass and it went to taint zone, I would do anything from dude
Oh, yeah.
to laugh to shove, depending on the
The
context.
thing is, he's never here, so it would never happen. It's astounding.
What an interesting place to draw that line.
What an interesting workplace. This sounds like a ball to work at Compound Media where
Speaking
people
of
are just
horrible bosses.
potentially grabbing people at taint level. I think there's a difference, by the way. Well, I guess it wouldn't be with E-Rock because Eric Nagel, who works and he does a sideshow, he would be considered an underling. You're not Anthony Cumia. Your name is not on the fucking channel, or it wasn't at any point.
Right.
So yeah, there is a power dynamic there.
Yeah.
But yeah, if Anthony grabbed Gavin's dick or something, that's different than the head of an actors union who's like a superior who has power over you.
And the jobs you can have, and
Yeah.
your connections in the industry.
He doesn't see a difference there. He just sees guys as guys as guys. No matter what the context, no matter where
So-
you're at.
It's all about boundaries. Like, there are some people who are considered sexual assault survivors who do not consider themselves sexual assault survivors.
Right, yeah.
Because they, for whatever reason, their boundaries are different from what other people would expect them to be. And that's valid.
Mm-hmm.
When you're, like, Gavin over here saying how, oh, like, if a guy, like, grabbed my ass, E-Rock grabbed my ass and, like, grabbed my taint or whatever, you know, I wouldn't think that's sexual assault. I wouldn't think that's sexual harassment. It says a lot about Gavin's boundaries.
Because it is. Whether or not you think it is or say
Yeah.
it is, it is.
Like, on a broad scale, it is. If you personally don't think it is, Okay, that's fine. That's where you're drawing your boundaries.
For
and
you.
everything. For you specifically.
As an outsider looking in, that is.
Yeah, that is. Yeah.
Yeah.
One end of the spectrum is me punching him in the face because I don't like him and he's been acting like a weird homo since I met him. That's one end of the spectrum.
Right.
I'm still not pressing charges.
Right.
The other end of the spectrum is I laugh. And there's all the gray in between there.
Interesting.
But
Yeah.
you can't be like, so I looked it up and he talks about how the dude like gaunched him.
How old was he?
How old was who?
How old was Brendan? Anthony is of the belief here that if you did this to a child, it's clearly bad. If you do it to an adult, though, it's not bad.
It's just funny.
It's funny, or you just punch the guy. You don't take him to court over it. Did Brendan take the actors unit guy to court over it?
No, I don't think he did. He just left.
So where are you fucking getting that from?
I don't think he pressed charges. I think he just left and then the story came out later.
Yeah. You're just making that shit up. You're just pulling that out of your ass.
Okay, if he was 6, he has a case.
There you go. That's a big part of it.
Oh, shit.
But if you're fucking...
Yeah, because we always believe when youngsters come forward with this kind of information.
Oh, yeah, if a 6-year-old came forward, we all listened to fucking Corey Feldman, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like,
and y'all be the first to clown on him.
If you're going in for a part and some guy like the producer, he sexually
This was in a
assaulted-
jokey environment.
Is that a jokey environment?
what's a jokey environment? Wait, what? It wasn't a joke. It was a fucking business environment.
Yeah. He wasn't a Compound Media. Why get your fucking head out of your ass?
Yeah.
They're not comparable. He's still in his head like, oh, it was a jokey environment, so it's fine. What? I'm so confused by that.
And the guy admitted, he goes, no, I grabbed his ass as a joke. And he's like, no,
he must have been old
protruded
enough.
your hand. And I think Brendan Fraser used the word taint. And he's like, it went so deep it touched my taint. And I felt powerless. I had a frog in my throat. But wait,
Who's
stop
frog?
the presses.
Who's that guy?
Can we make sure I'm talking about an adult?
Yeah, make a joke about the frog in the throat. Haha. Mocking him for crying.
Mocking him for having an emotional reaction to sexual assault.
And having the courage to even come out and talk about it.
Yeah.
And acknowledge it.
It's like that story with fucking what's his name, Hooper from Jaws. There, his son.
Dennis Hopper?
No, all right. I don't know. Whatever.
He was definitely of age.
Oh, okay.
Have you got
It
it?
was 2003. He was born in 68.
Okay.
Oh,
So Anthony is willing to believe an adult
Yeah.
for talking about something that happened about when they were younger,
yeah.
but I highly doubt he would believe a young, like we were saying. Like, because that's not typically how it goes.
Yeah, no.
Especially since y'all have set a precedent that y'all just do not believe assault survivors.
That's what I was
ever.
going to say. I don't think there is if let's say that a big child actor today were to be like, hey, this happened to me, blah, blah, blah. They wouldn't believe it.
No.
They'd be like, you just want money. You're just a little liar. Nobody can believe kids. Like, kids don't know what's happening. You know, like, they would just say that kind of shit. They're not going to believe anybody.
And then the actor would take the guy to court, get a big settlement, and then the justice system doesn't exist.
And then the justice system is just a
you don't fucking take him to court over that. You punch him or you laugh about it.
Yeah, a kid should just punch somebody. Like,
So he's like fucking
Jesus Christ.
25, 26, and he goes, I felt a frog in my throat. I felt powerless. And then he talks about it now like he's recovering from sexual assault.
Unfucking believable.
he literally is.
The clip ends with Anthony saying, unfucking believable. Unfathomable to Anthony.
I have a feeling you're trying to compare traumas here, Anthony.
And why it always comes back to this. Why is Brendan Fraser's trauma so bothersome to you?
Yeah.
Why do you care that he gets a 10-minute standing ovation?
Who does it hurt? How does it affect you?
This has absolutely nothing on any sort of systemic change that would change anything for the good or bad. I'm sure their viewpoint would
Right.
be different from mine. Who does this hurt? What does the sign language hurt? What is sex workers having power over their bodies and being their own bosses like Anthony loves about being able to do a Compound Media.
Yeah, exactly.
What does that hurt? It's all just pointless bullshit.
It really still just comes back down to the more privilege you have, the more afraid you're losing of that privilege.
Yeah.
You know, like you get a fucking Disneyland pass that you can skip all the lines and stuff. You're going to be like holding on to that like fucking crazy. Even though if you were to lose the pass, like, I don't know how it really works, but I imagine if you lose the pass, you know, you can still get in line like the rest of everybody.
Yeah.
You can still enjoy the things that you don't have to survive.
It comes down to the shitting on oppressed groups, but even being faced with a fraction of the oppression that they face, they crumble.
Yeah.
They'll deny the hardships, but then all of a sudden, if there was a possibility of the shoe being on the other foot, now all of a sudden I'll acknowledge how hard they have it because now it's my problem.
Yeah.
But it won't be.
No.
Because at the end of the day, I don't know what kind of consequences Anthony would face if he did anything like something that he would be fired from a company for. Because he's his own boss now.
Yeah.
He's above consequence.
When you're working with an audience, a large number of people,
That all agree with you, too, by the way.
even if you start to change your opinions on the air, that group of people is like a flock of birds. It's like a huge flock of like starlings. And like one might branch off and like piss off and be like, fuck this, but more often than not, they're just gonna go with the waves of it. What would Anthony have to do or say to lose his audience?
I imagine if in 2024, Anthony decided, I'm gonna vote for Joe Biden's re-election, he'd probably lose a good chunk of his audience.
I don't think he would. I think he would lose some, but not a big chunk.
Probably not the people who see Anthony as a political speaker,
Yeah.
a political commentator. Because, like I said before, we were talking about the days before Gavin, which I don't have a whole lot of reference for because that's years I do not feel like delving down. I've already got from 1998 to 2014 to go through. I ain't going past that, okay? This was a one-off, two-off. If we want to talk about Anthony and Gavin again in the future, we might, but we're not going to make it a frequent thing, for fuck's sake. If they don't care about his political talk and they don't come there for that, I imagine people are going to be more interested in that in the episodes that Gavin is on because they know it's going to be more likely. That's not to say that Anthony doesn't talk about racist shit when Gavin's not there,
Yeah.
but he's more likely to talk about it when Gavin is there. Because like you said earlier, he feels safer, and he probably feels like I need to keep up with popular kid Gavin over here.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe they wouldn't. Maybe a lot of them, like me, like I just said earlier, my favorite parts of the Opie and Anthony show were the more lighthearted, jokey, goofy parts of the show. When they weren't being racist. When they weren't picking a target of the day to sick their fucking fan base on. Maybe they'd find it refreshing.
I sort of feel like the way for him to lose a big chunk of his audience is to admit he's wrong about things.
That's why Alex Jones never does.
Yeah, to admit you're wrong means to admit that your audience is wrong for agreeing with you.
Admitting guilt.
Admitting guilt,
And yeah, admitting that all of you who have agreed with me for this long,
you're wrong too.
y'all have been wrong this whole
Yeah.
time.
But at the same time, when it comes to a sustainable audience, that's sort of the best thing you can do.
Yeah, it worked for Howard.
To freak in any relationship, when it comes to, like, if you think of like a teacher student, you think of a politician, to the constituencies, to a relationship between two people or whatever, parents and children and stuff. Being able to admit you're wrong is a great way to strengthen a relationship,
Oh yeah,
because the people who are too weak to deal with that will jump ship. And if he were to say tomorrow, like, you know, I was going back over some stuff and I was realizing, you know, I was really fucked up about how I tweeted about that woman, you know, in New York and stuff and all that shit, or wherever it was. And, you know, all that shit was really wrong of me. And he wouldn't even have to go too deep.
no,
You know, just like, that was just really wrong of me. And, you know, like, he wouldn't even have to say I'm sorry.
no.
Just admitting he was wrong, which is the core of an apology.
We talked about this maybe in the first or second episode about how the shock jock model is not sustainable.
Yeah.
because it's based on pushing the envelope and then seeing how much further we can go and how much further we can go.
An incremental bit, not too far too fast.
In the year before their April Fool's prank, I learned this after we recorded, and they actually made a reference to it on that episode. They said,
let's all go to Larky's and have a beer tonight.
Yeah,
What do you say?
I'm gonna go to
Come on.
Larky's.
I think Pearl
on,
Jam's
man.
coming back.
I never lived in Boston. I just thought they were talking about a place called Larky's. The year before, in 1997, they told the audience on air that Pearl Jam, they were going to have a concert live at Larky's in Boston. And it set people on a wild goose chase because there's not a place called Larky's.
Okay.
But it said, hey, it's a word for joke, though, so if you were smart enough and you knew there wasn't a place, you were above the joke and you knew. That's a harmless, at the end of the day, joke.
Yeah.
Where do you go from there? Say the mayor's dead. I don't know.
Yeah, too fast.
That's too fast. That's too hard and loose.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why that shit doesn't work. And Anthony at this point is at as far as he can go. Because he said in his book, one of the models that he established with Compound Media is that no topic is off limits. You can talk about anything. You can say whatever you want. If it diverts, though, yeah, then there's more possibilities there. If all of a sudden it's like, that opens another door.
You're more likely to win in a lot of situations if you divert. Which is sort of like indicative of who he really is. If you're trying to be like your true self, you'd be leaning into it by now. At his age, 1, he's lying to himself in the world. 2, this is his true self. Or 3, this is the true self he's cultivated with his audience, and this is the only thing he feels comfortable being.
I would say that this is the safest he could possibly feel because he could do whatever he wants. Unless this isn't what he wants.
Life's probably really stale for him right now.
Yeah.
Like when you're not...
I would imagine.
When you're not actively growing as a person, and you're sticking to your guns, and you're hunkered down in your compound...
And surrounded by yes men.
Yes men, and you live in an echo chamber, life gets fucking stale.
This already feels like last episode shit, but...
Well, I mean, it's because we jumped to now.
We had no choice, honestly.
Yeah.
Because now, from here on out, it's going to be getting to where we are here.
Yeah.
I just wanted everybody to know where we were at. Anthony says that once Opie got married, his in-laws were more liberal, and they didn't like some of the things they were talking about on the show. Some of the more tasteless jokes they were making. And that, in turn, turned Opie a little bit to not being as game with the jokes Jim Norton and Anthony were making. And that kind of pressed fast forward on the inevitable demise of the show. Because they were going in two different directions.
Yeah.
When Anthony says he loves how honest Trump and Nick Fuentes are, he sees Opie as a liberal now, and he's calling him phony.
Yeah.
He doesn't see that being possible.
It's not an option for him.
It's not an option.
He thought they were on the same page, and now he's on a different page. Not possible.
He must be lying.
Yeah.
No way.
One of us must be lying.
Those cannot be his actual beliefs. And then he says, Opie is lying and seeming more liberal so he can get work. Where is he trying to get work? He's clearly not trying.
Why do you think he's profiting off of this? Other than like just growing as a person.
He's not making money off this. He's not making money off his YouTube shit. He's living in an extremely hoity-toity, highfalutin, like, he's got the best view of the town.
And, like, he's not rebranding right now. He could. This could be part of a rebrand, but he is not actively rebranding. You can tell. He's just chilling.
No one sees his TikToks. I mean, you saw his What About the Aloe plans? It had 10 likes on it.
This is an aloe plant. Hi, aloe. Oh, look, there's more aloe plants in the background, too. Hi.
That's not an avenue he could possibly go down either.
Yeah, I didn't even like it.
No.
I just looked at it.
I unfollowed him.
I saw the aloe TikTok and I thought, ugh. Arguably, Opie has less visibly going on in his life, right?
He's got kids.
So he's got a pretty meh life. Not like bad, but not like, whoa, look at all this stuff he's doing. But you can already sort of tell that it's like not stale. Like he still seems to have life about him.
Yeah.
Like, you still see, like, life in his eyes?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Versus...
He's enjoying it, even though Anthony will try to tell his audience that Opie's lying. And that it's all a facade. And he's not actually having fun.
One of us is lying. One of us wants what the other one has.
What could it possibly be?
See, I know that Anthony has furniture in his house now, but my head canon, he doesn't. Okay, wait, do you think it's a green screen in the basement? Or do you think that he taped fake windows so he felt more in a bustling city?
I don't know if you've seen the movie The King of Comedy with Robert De Niro.
I've seen clips.
Where he'll go down into his basement and he'll do a practice stand-up routine looking at a wall that is just a picture of an audience, and like he envisions that they're laughing at all of his jokes. That could be it. It is very funny that the windows and everything behind Anthony is kind of the view that Opie has.
It's kind of the same fucking view Opie has.
Huh.
But one's real and one's a simulation.
With a bad chroma key. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that.
Oh.
And you need better lighting, because I can see the outline around you and it doesn't look great. It looks better than I could do, and in my fucking tiny ass apartment,
yeah,
you are renting out studio space in a fucking studio, and I think Manhattan.
Oh my god.
And that's the best you've got.
Wait, you have a basement in Manhattan? Oh wait,
Here's what he was doing. He was doing his show from his basement initially for a year.
Okay.
Then, in his book, according to him, that all the other people he had in his network were like, it was like a work-life dynamic mix.
Yeah.
And the people who were doing radio shows were like swimming in his pool and everything.
Okay.
So he was like, okay, we can't do this anymore.
Yeah, split it
so
up.
he started renting out a studio away from his house. And that's the only way, mind you. If you look on YouTube, one of the most popular videos from the Compound is a sit-down interview with Neil deGrasse Tyson. Neil deGrasse Tyson was not a booked guest on the Compound. Neil deGrasse Tyson was there because he was renting the studio space, filming something already. Anthony was there, said, hey, would you mind coming over real quick? And they had a discussion. I don't even think at the time Neil deGrasse Tyson even knew who he was, unless he was a guest on Opie and Anthony before and might have remembered who he was from that.
Why does he have fake windows?
Because, other than that, it would look shitty. He needs the green screen to have it look somewhat interesting.
Do you think there are real windows in that room?
No.
Is it
I've seen what it looks like.
Is it a soundstage or is it a studio?
It's a studio. I'll pull up a video real quick.
Like, when you say a studio in Manhattan, that sounds like an apartment.
Oh,
so
no.
Is it like an actual studio?
It's a recording studio.
Oh,
yeah, it's a
okay.
streaming studio. My bad.
I also think it's interesting that Anthony seems to do a lot to keep people away from him.
Yeah, as someone who still will talk about how many friends he has, yeah, he does seem to distance himself.
He's like, don't be using my pool.
Yeah, don't use my pool.
Don't do these things in my spaces.
Friends? No.
No.
I'm moving to South Carolina to get away from you fucks.
Oh god, yeah.
Everybody else, by the way, they get to keep recording in that Manhattan studio. Now, Anthony gets to do his show from South Carolina. Away from everybody. Boy, howdy.
How are we gonna go back to just boring ass?
Well, I hope it's not boring.
You're gonna have to make it super entertaining.
Oh, no.
You're gonna have to find all the super good, great things.
Oh, boy. Well, my work's cut out for me, I suppose. Now I'm gonna have to, realistically, probably have to comb through a month's worth of NEW episodes for an episode of our show. To actually pull clips that are interesting to anybody.
Yeah, I'm just like, what's the biggest difference now that is making us, like, we're hitting our stride right now.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's because of the content we're playing off of.
Oh, no.
Yeah, how do we carry that over to the older content, their older content now?
I mean, I think our previous episodes were good, too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I think we still will have enough of a back... Like, obviously, we've had more of a back and forth in these past couple because there's been more to talk about. Like I said, probably have to cull from a good bit of material to build an episode, but hopefully I'll be able to do that. And if not, Guess we're talking about Compound Media from here on out. Because I can see that even getting boring, because eventually it's just going to be, oh, Anthony's racist again. Oh, Gavin's racist again. Like, how long can we do that for?
I mean, I don't think this show's going to last, our show's going to last forever.
Well, no.
It's just, we're going to talk about it until we run out of steam or until someone offs themselves. Not me, not you.
Oh, sure.
Not Opie.
No. Gavin? E-Rock.
No, I don't even know who that is.
Huh.
Elmo.
It could be anybody.
I said Elmo. It's gonna be Elmo.
Tickle Me Elmo? What about Fondle Me Elmo?
No,
what about him?
It's gonna be Elmo.
Oh.
No, it's gonna be Anthony.
Oh.
No, it's gonna be Elmo.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's good. Oh, but wait, Elmo. Oh, no.
Elmo.
Give me an L, no. See? We have fun. Hey, this has been O&A Detox. Bye!